Hey, Bill, how is it going? And everybody else, welcome to our special Tuesday edition of the Investor Guys podcast. Uh, First off, Bill, how you doing?
I'm doing incredibly well, sir. And you, my friend,
I am
did
doing
you have a
great.
great
I had a
weekend?
great weekend. How about yourself?
Good. Yeah. So got to watch the not live, but on TV, got to watch the Alabama-Florida game, which turned out to be an amazing ball game, fun to watch.
We watched yesterday, or no, sorry, day before yesterday, Saturday. We watched that new Clint Eastwood film, Cry Macho.
Ah, and your
You know
review?
what? It was good. It was touching. Not what you'd expect from a Clint Eastwood film, really. But it, 9, maybe 8.5 out of 10. It was good. It is on HBO Max. So if you don't want to go to the theater, if you have HBO Max, you can watch it. So it's in theaters right now. It came out Friday, or it's on HBO Max. It was on HBO Max on
Well,
Friday as well.
the last few films that he has done have been very, very different. But once he made Unforgiven, everything from Unforgiven forward has been very different for him. And I've really liked all of them, Gran Torino, and I'm sure I'll probably like this one. However, Trouble with the Curve has been my favorite of his post-Western
I have not
films.
seen Trouble with the Curve. I
Very
mean,
good.
you probably know this, but for the rest of you, he is 91 years old. You can definitely tell in the movie that he is an old man, but he is still pretty spry. Just
He still
amazing.
jogs every day.
What's that?
He still
He
jogs every day.
he used to dig pools back in the day. I mean, by hand. So when they couldn't get the backhoe behind somebody's house, he would go back there and he would dig the pool by hand. And I have a great Clint Eastwood story real quick, and then we'll get on to the crux of what we're doing today. I have a buddy from Ohio where I grew up, older guy, who was serving in Vietnam. And he got sent back to San Diego, from Vietnam to San Diego. He had a couple of weeks off, and then he was going to get restationed. And he was just kind of seeing the sights of San Diego, and he had the San Diego Zoo on his list for that particular day. And just before he left, he was hoping that he was going to be stateside. He really thought he was going to be stateside for the rest of his tour. He got his paperwork on his way out the door on that particular day, and he was going back to Vietnam. And I mean, you can imagine it's not anything any soldier wants to hear.
Yeah.
So he said he just kind of wandered around. He didn't even know how he got to the zoo. He was at the zoo. He's just kind of wandering around, just in a daze like a zombie. He got to where the bears were, and he said he just started crying. Just crying. He said somebody grabbed his hand and squeezed it and said, "Hey, whatever it is, it's going to be okay." And he turned, and it was Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood was standing there holding his hand, telling him it was going to be okay. He said he just broke down, like sobbing, and Clint Eastwood gave him a hug, and he said, "You know what, just let it out. It's going to be all right, whatever it is." So really cool Clint Eastwood story. It just puts a personal, edge onto it.
Well,
good person, good heart. Vic was an amazing guy. I'm glad, I'm glad I got to know Vic as well. But just good person. So if you get a chance to see the movie, by all means, go see it.
Well,
has nothing to do with real estate, but
and what a lot of people don't know, that in life, besides being very conservative and very politically involved in our world, he's funny. So when you were living in California and I was living in LA, I took a lot of classes at the American Film Institute because I'm eat up with movies and have been. So to have a son that wants to be a film director is no surprise to me. And so I did a class called Directors on Directing. And it was about 50 people only. And it was a 2 to 3 hour class because it was a auditorium class, but it had no set time to it. So what we would do is we would go watch a film that had not been released yet with the director. And then there'd be Q&A for about an hour. And we did a movie called White Hunter, Black Heart, which is a Clint Eastwood film based on the life of John Huston. And he was there for 2 hours afterwards. And I laughed my butt off. That dude has a wicked sense of humor. So
I've seen him cracking jokes on the stage at CPAC in the past. He used to be the mayor of Monterey, which is a town in Northern California. Amazing guy, amazing man. I hope he makes some more films. 91, it's, most people are just sitting back on their laurels doing nothing. But
most people are dead.
Yeah. I know Clint Eastwood doesn't watch us. I don't know that. I'm guessing Clint Eastwood probably doesn't watch us, but yeah, hats off to that man. He is an amazing American, amazing actor, amazing director, amazing individual. Moving on, because we've already chewed up almost the whole segment on Clint Eastwood. Not a bad thing to chew up a segment on, but I'm going to give you some names and we're going to go into break. And I want you to think about these names. Tell me if you know who these people are. Okay. And then we'll go into the break and we'll move on this. So first is Sam Zell.
Yep.
You know who that is?
Yes.
Okay. Alexander Otto. So if you know who they are, just keep it in mind and we'll cover that when we get back on the next break. Alexander Otto, Stephen Ross, Sun.
I know it's Stephen Ross, but
Sun Hong Bin, Zhao Hui, Donald Bren, David and Simon Rubin, Wang Jialin, Prince Alawid bin Talal Al Saud, Yang Hulan, Wai Kaiyan, Li Shaoqi, and I've got one other name that I'm going to give you on the flip side of this, just to make sure that you've got this. So we're coming up on a break. When we come back, without going on to Google on the break, when we come back, I want you to tell me who those people are. Okay. Be back in just a second. Thanks for keeping up with us and paying attention while we were talking about Clint Eastwood. But those names, the rest of you can Google them if you want. But Bill, you can't Google them. We'll be back in just a second.
I'm good.
You want to be a real estate investing millionaire? Be able to buy a luxury car or maybe a nice boat? How about a bigger house in a nice neighborhood? Being a real estate millionaire is a dream come true for so many, and it was for me at one time also. But in a world of $500,000 cars, multi-million-dollar planes, and yachts, and vacation homes that cost in the tens of millions of dollars, why would I settle for just being a millionaire? I want more, and you should too. New for 2022, the Billionaire Training Academy, the only program of its type designed to create billionaires. This program is not about real estate strategies. It's about scaling real estate strategies, starting small and growing into multi-million-dollar deals and beyond. It's about the business of building a billion-dollar real estate empire, setting your business up to do and obtain business credit, funding, and more. Understanding where to go and how to obtain literally limitless funding for real estate projects, and being able to put together the types of high caliber projects that are going to show multi-million-dollar profits for your business. This program is about building your business team, business structure, structuring partnerships, and attracting more investment capital than you'll ever have projects to apply it to. This program will show you how to build a billion-dollar real estate investing empire by building the business that will drive it, power it, support it, manage it, and more. This is not an event where we're going to try and dazzle you with light shows and feel-good sing-alongs. This is an exclusive one-week intensive program. This is Billionaire CEO Training Bootcamp. This is roll up your sleeves, get to work, and get started right away. From the moment you arrive, we'll treat you like the CEO founder of a growing billion-dollar real estate investing company that you are. Come ready to get started, and that is exactly what will happen. Read more and get signed up at the BillionaireTrainingAcademy.com. That's BillionaireTrainingAcademy.com.
11 months out of the year, Bill and I host real estate buyers events in cities like Cleveland, Ohio, where we ourselves invest and see great returns. We show investors the types of strategies we're using, the types of properties we're using. We introduce them to people here on the ground and the resources that they can use to get started right away. Day 4 of this event, we're actually touring properties and making offers on properties. This event was designed to put properties in your portfolio right away, high-performing properties. Read more about the Real Estate Buyers event. Get registered. We'll see you at the next event, realestatebuyersevent.com. And we're back. And just before we went on break, I gave Bill a list of about 12 names. And Bill, do you know what the connection is with all of those names?
Well, I would guess because of Sam Zell, because when you started with that, I'm like, good, I know that. And then, but because you said connection, I would say they are all mobile home park, trailer park, multifamily owners.
Okay. Those are all real estate investor billionaires. Those are the top 12 real estate investing billionaires in the world. Okay.
Very cool.
I'm going to give you some numbers for what their values are here in a couple of minutes. Okay. But actually, you know what? Because this is pretty cool information. Sam Zell, our first name on the list, his net worth is $4.8 billion. Alexander Otto is a European billionaire. His net worth is $12.5 billion. But get this, Bill, last year, he added $7.5 billion to that number.
Wow.
So that 15.5, sorry, that 7.5 is with $7 billion that he made last year alone in real estate. San Hong Ben, $9.2 billion. Zhao Wei, $15.5 billion. You're going to love this. Last year alone, he made $13.5 billion with a B in 1 year on real estate, 13.5 billion. Donald Bren, and you'll know this one. Donald Bren controls the Irvine Company in Irvine, California. They own 14 million plus square feet of commercial space. His net worth is 17.5 billion. He actually lost about $2.2 billion last year as real estate in California lost its value. Commercial space is what he's mostly in. People moved out, people broke their leases, everything else. So he actually lost about 2.2 last year. David and Simon Rubin, $18 billion. Wang Jianlin, $20.2 billion. Prince Alawid bin Talal Asad, he's a Saudi Arabian prince. Okay. He has billions and billions and billions
They all
of dollars. His real estate portfolio is $22.7 billion.
Wow.
Just in real estate. Yang Halun is $27 billion. Hai Kawan is $26.8 billion. Now, for those of you who watch the stock market, okay, Evergrande is Wai Kai Young's company. Evergrande has hit a wall now with debt, and we're going to find out whether or not Beijing bails out the debt for that company or not. But he controls that company. He still has $26.8 billion. So when your company's in trouble, without a doubt, you've got trouble. But if you have $26.8 billion, even if your company defaults, and that's not what you want to happen, you're still not crying too much.
Yeah.
Li Shaoqi, $32.3 billion. And the name that I was going to give you, just so that you kind of push you along, was Donald Trump. Okay. Donald Trump is a billionaire real estate investor as well. Donald Trump's net worth is $2.3 billion. Now, I bring this up because living in California, and you and I have both been and are millionaires. Okay. Living in California, I lived amongst multi-millionaires, and it was great. And being a multi-millionaire is great. I've moved to Palm Beach, and I live down the road from a place called Billionaire Row. Okay. Where the billionaires literally live and have, I don't even know if it's summer places. They just have places just because they want a place on some place called Billionaire Row. There are yachts that sit just off the coast that are 300, 400 feet long and belong to individuals. They belong to billionaires. They're yachts that cost $400 million. Okay. So my net worth is about that. Okay. And when I say net worth, I'm not talking about money in the bank. I'm talking about the value of all the buildings I have and everything else together. Okay. I sold all of that. I could get a yacht. Okay. That's not what I want. I want to be able to have a yacht and still have these things to make me some money. So, last year I started a course called the Guaranteed Millionaire Blueprint. And I told you I started a new course called the Billionaire Training Academy. I've started already with our first few people, our first few consultants. And my invitation to you is will you start working with me together and let's both become billionaires? Let's both set our eye on being a billionaire. Okay.
Absolutely.
So we're going to be new American billionaire real estate investors. So that's my invitation. That's what today's show was about.
Cool.
So,
Hey, I'm in, brother.
all right.
So I'll give you a quick yacht story.
Okay.
A few years ago, I'm vacationing on St. Bart's.
In your yacht?
And St. Bart's, no, and St. Bart's is a really cool high-end Caribbean island. It is the place where the rich and famous go. And so I'm vacationing in St. Bart's, and I'm walking along the beach, and I'm looking at the mega yachts. Well, there's one that has a navy blue bottom. It's just absolutely gorgeous, but it is unbelievably huge. And I'm like, oh, there's a cruise line that I'm unfamiliar with. And they're obviously not mega cruisers because that's a smaller cruise ship for a cruise ship. But man, that is a fabulous looking boat, vessel, ship. They freak out if you say boat, ship. And so I walk over to the gangplank, and there's two uniformed guys standing there. They don't have guns or anything, but they're uniformed guys just standing there. And I'm like, hey, this is, man, what a gorgeous place. Thank you very much. I'm like, so what cruise line is this? And they said, sorry, sir, this is a private yacht. I was like, wow.
So to put things into perspective, Bill, I've belonged to the yacht club for years and years and years. Okay. Millionaires, we have a 50-foot boat. Okay. I have a 50-foot Beneteau. I've had a 30-foot, our yachts are, a lot of people see them. They're like, oh my gosh, that's great. That's amazing. That's awesome. But you know what? My boat next to one of these boats, like that are right off the coast here, it looks like a dinghy. It looks like the boat that the help takes out to the other boat, when it comes time for their shift. That's the perspective. That is the difference. Okay. Yep. So being a millionaire, that's awesome. That's great. But, and being a multimillionaire is even better. But being a billionaire puts you in a spot where spending $5 million for an airplane is not a big deal. Spending $400 million for a mega yacht is not a big deal. My favorite yacht that I ever saw, by the way, I saw when I was in Singapore. It was right off of Sentosa, and this thing looked like a battleship, but it was a private yacht. It had a big giant door in the side that was a garage, and it had like 6 cars sitting in the side of the boat. So if I'm going to be teaching people how to be billionaires, I'm going to do the same exact thing myself. I know how to do it. It's just a matter of, I was content being a millionaire. Now we're going to be billionaires. So
what's our timeline?
Process, right, I'm going to do the same thing. What's that?
What's our timeline on this segment?
Our time is we need to go ahead and get into our next segment. So let's go ahead and take a break.
Okay, because I'm going to throw you a curveball when we come back.
Okay,
that fits into this that
you
everybody
on our next break. So we'll be back in just a second.
Are you ready to start adding performing properties to your portfolio, high performing properties to your portfolio? If so, check out the Real Estate Buyers event. Once a month, with the exception of December, Bill and I host a real estate buyers event in a high performing market where he and I are both investing. He and I both have experience. We share our experiences, our resources, what to buy, what not to buy, where not to buy, what strategies to use to get great returns on your investment in these markets. If you want to read more about it and you want to join us for one of these future real estate buyers events, go to realestatebuyersevent.com. That's realestatebuyersevent.com. We'll see you there. Want to be a real estate investing millionaire? Be able to buy a luxury car or maybe a nice boat? How about a bigger house in a nice neighborhood? Being a real estate millionaire is a dream come true for so many, and it was for me at one time also. But in a world of $500,000 cars, multi-million-dollar planes, and yachts, and vacation homes that cost in the tens of millions of dollars, why would I settle for just being a millionaire? I want more, and you should too. New for 2022, the Billionaire Training Academy, the only program of its type designed to create billionaires. This program is not about real estate strategies. It's about scaling real estate strategies, starting small and growing into multi-million-dollar deals and beyond. It's about the business of building a billion-dollar real estate empire, setting your business up to do and obtain business credit, funding, and more. Understanding where to go and how to obtain literally limitless funding for real estate projects, and being able to put together the types of high caliber projects that are going to show multi-million-dollar profits for your business. This program is about building your business team, business structure, structuring partnerships, and attracting more investment capital than you'll ever have projects to apply it to. This program will show you how to build a billion-dollar real estate investing empire by building the business that will drive it, power it, support it, manage it, and more. This is not an event where we're going to try and dazzle you with light shows and feel-good sing-alongs. This is an exclusive one-week intensive program. This is Billionaire CEO Training Bootcamp. This is roll up your sleeves, get to work, and get started right away. From the moment you arrive, we'll treat you like the CEO, founder of a growing billion-dollar real estate investing company that you are. Come ready to get started, and that is exactly what will happen. Read more and get signed up at the BillionaireTrainingAcademy.com. That's BillionaireTrainingAcademy.com.
And we are back. And just before the break, Bill said he was going to throw me a fastball. And I think his fastball was he moved into a different room. So,
Yep. So
you've totally freaked me out now.
I'm out of the waterfront. And so I wanted to, yesterday afternoon, I was talking with one of my consulting clients and we were going over numbers. And you and I have done this on the show multiple times, but I did it at an extremely conservative amount. And I wanted to share this with everybody so that they understand this is what all the people that you just spoke about do. This is what you and I do. So I want to go through this. So I got my handy dandy whiteboard because yesterday I was using the whiteboard on a Zoom. And I know you can't read these numbers, so I'll but I'll just jump through them real quick. So the first premise was that let's talk about the time frame that it takes to get to a certain dollar amount that becomes investable. What I do in one of the consulting programs that you're familiar with is it has a $10,000 a month passive income guaranteed to it that you get there within 24 months. And it is called 10kmonthly.net. So I said, we're going to take the first 24 months and we're going to set them aside and we're going to jump to year 3, because going into year 3, you'll have $120,000 that has come in from the previous year. So for the previous 24 months, you've accumulated now 120 in passive income. Now we're going into year 3, and in year 3, we're going to make 40% ROI. And we're doing it cash on cash. Now, you and I know, and everybody that's in the consulting program, both yours and mine, know 40% we blow out of the water all the time. But for people that aren't doing this, that sounds like an unbelievably high number. The lady that I was going through this with, when she came into the program, was like, I just don't really believe that you can make 40%. I'm trusting you on this, but I don't really believe you could do that. Well, now when we have conversations and we're going over contracts, she's like, well, I'm passing on that. That's 72%. I'm passing on that because I've got 98 over here and I'm going to do that. And it's like, I stopped her the other day. I said, you have to stop yourself and listen to what you're saying and think about how far you've come in the last 60 days on what you understood was available, what you thought was available, what you now understand. So we go into year 3 at 120,000, making 40%. So 40% of that is 48 grand. So we add that to what our principal was at the end of year 3, we've got $168,000. These are funds that are all reinvested. You do not spend this money. Okay, so we go into year 4 with 168, we make 40%. Which is $235,000. Going into year 5, we now have $672,000. So we go into year 5. I'm sorry, I had 172, 235. So going into year 5, we've got 235,000, which makes us at 40%, $94,000. So going into year 6, we're at 329.2, staying at 40%. We grow that 131,680. So going into year 7, we've got $460,880. So we're almost at $500,000 now, just in 7 years. And at 40%, we're going to now grow that 184,325. So going into year 8, now the numbers really start, we hit that tipping point where they really start to escalate. Going into year 8, we're at 645,000, and 40% on that is $250,000. It's $258,093. So $250,000 in passive income growth just in year 8. So now going into year 9, we're reinvesting $903,000 at 40% is $361,000. I know you can't see these numbers. So at the end of year 9, we're at 1.264, $1,264,000, 655. Going into the 10th year at just a 40% rate of growth every year and reinvesting our passive income. We're starting with 120, but we're starting with 120 after 24 months. To get to this 120, you need to have a ridiculously small amount of cash. I'm not going to go into that.
Right. So this is I'm going to let you finish, but this is a 0 to $1 million plus strategy.
Yeah.
What Bill is going over. This is a $0 to $1 million plus strategy in 10 years. And on a very conservative structure with a very, very conservative return on investment. I'm sorry, Bill, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. So going into our 10th year, and we're just looking at this on 10 years to understand the impact. One of my absolute favorite Tony Robbins sayings is that people grossly overestimate what they can achieve in a year, and they grossly underestimate what they can achieve in a decade. So we go into year 10. Year 10, we're starting with 1.264, 1,264,000, and at 40%, we're picking up $500,000, $505,000. So starting at 0, going through 10 years, reinvesting at 40%. At the end of the 10th year, we've grown to 1.77, $1.75 million, $1,770,517 at the end of 10 years. You understand why Kevin and I are always harping at you about if you're not doing this. I told a guy the other day, and I was very serious, and it offended him a little bit. I said, oh, sorry, dude. I'm not saying it to offend you. I'm mentally slapping you so you'll wake up. If you want to become a millionaire, a billionaire, this is how you do it. You take those funds and you continually reinvest. 10 years from now, starting with 0, 10 years from now at 40%, and you and I kind of chuckle at the 40% number, at 40%, you can be a hair under $2 million. That's come in 1 year. And when you start continuing that on, and you do it 12 years and 14 years, you start continuing on, boy, once you hit about year 6, you cross that tipping point where the number grows so fast every year that you're just like, holy cow.
And you know what? The other thing too that Bill isn't explaining is this is a little bite. Okay, this is a small. So if you can come up with $120,000, I promise you'll know how to come up with another 100. This is just reinvesting the money you're making from that $120,000. This is if you do nothing else to generate any more income other than what your income is already generating for you. Okay. So you know already how to make that $120,000. If you made $120,000 every single year and put this into this exact same kind of strategy, by year 7 or 8, you're over $1 million. By year 12 and 14, you're at multiple millions of dollars, and not just in assets. You're talking about in income. Now, we went over numbers like this. It literally was just a couple of weeks ago. We went over very real numbers, very conservative returns, actual returns. Sorry, and showed you how you could literally get to multi-billions of dollars inside of 10 years. Now, keep in mind that there's a couple of key takeaways from this. First of all, the sooner you get started, the sooner you're going to get to that 10-year point, the sooner you're going to get to that 20-year point. If you keep putting it off, you're just putting it off. You're not getting anything done. Every day you don't start is a day you lost. Okay. So you can keep putting it off and you're not going to get there. Secondly, okay, understanding how to do this is key. Knowing how to do this is going to be the difference between being successful and not being successful. Third, part of understanding this is understanding that capital makes all of this not only possible, but will make it much easier. The more you understand how to tap into capital and investment capital, the quicker you will grow. A lot of people are like, I don't want to get into debt. I don't want the debt. I don't want this. I promise you, it is not just debt. It is return on your investment. Those names that I gave you at the beginning of the show, not one of them did this with their very own pennies. Not one of them did this with their very own money. Warren Buffett started with $10,000, and I believe he borrowed that $10,000. You don't do this with money that you have. You can, if you got it in your pocket, great. Okay. But understand that whatever you have, tapping into external capital, and we call it other people's money, no matter whether you're getting from the bank or from an individual, tapping into external capital is what's going to make it happen so much quicker for you. And then last but not least, you have to set your mind to do this. And again, last but not least, but really that's the first thing you have to do is set your mind to do this, make it a commitment. Real quick, Bill, and I'm going to turn it over to you. 90% of millionaires are millionaires because of real estate. 90%. Okay. 10% are millionaires because of Bitcoin and tech and everything else. Okay. Jeff Bezos, the Facebook guy, Mark Zuckerberg, those guys fall in that 10%. 90% of millionaires are millionaires because of real estate. 88% of millionaires are self-made millionaires. I'm talking about the millionaires that are right now. 88% are self-made millionaires. That other 12% are people who inherited it, people who grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth. 88% of all millionaires did it on their own for themselves. All right, I'm going to leave it up to you.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap out with a fun little story. Again, talking to a different client yesterday, and he said, well, the financing came back on this property, been approved. Financing came back on it at an amount that I am not happy about. And I'm like, okay, so I'm going to pass on the deal. And I'm like, well, time out. Walk me through the numbers. And he said, well, Bill, the note came back. Again, I got approved, but it came back at 12.99. That's crazy. It's going to kill the deal. And I'm like, really? He's like, well, yeah. I'm like, have you run the numbers? Well, no, because it's 13%. It's 12.99. And I said, let's run the numbers. So we run the numbers. Now, the reason it was 12.99 was not a credit issue. It was because it was a very small amount. It was a duplex that we were buying, and you and I know this. A lot of people don't believe you can do this. We're buying a duplex in another market for $35,000. And so by the time you do a traditional investment loan, 80-20, and you take $7,000 off of that, it's a $28,000 mortgage. Well, there's just not a lot of lenders that want to do that. They don't want to do that because it costs them a certain amount of dollars, whether they're doing to turn their machine on, if you will, whether they're doing 28,000 or they're doing 128 or 280 or 2 point. It just really doesn't matter when they get below a certain amount. And with most lenders, it's around 60 grand, sometimes a little higher than that. You can find them that'll do less than that. But when you do, it is going to cost you more money. He goes, well, yeah, so, and I'm like, well, what's the monthly payment? Well, the monthly payment was like $140. And I'm like, now, forget the percentage that you're paying, walk through the numbers now with the payment amount inserted in, and it was still a 68% ROI cash on cash, paying 12.99. So 68% return on investment cash on cash. So did we make the offer? You dead gun straight.
Yeah. And if he wasn't happy with that amount in 2 years, he would have made enough money to pay off that note.
Yeah.
Still have money in his pocket.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I caution you not to overreact with percentages until you put it in place, figure out exactly what the payment is. And when you're talking to a lender and they tell you that, then you ask them, okay, so what does that mean my payment amount is going to be? And they will tell you. And they're a lot more accurate at figuring that stuff than we're going to be, and certainly than you're going to be. And so find out exactly what the payment amount is, run the numbers. If the numbers work, the numbers work. I don't care. I have borrowed as much as 18% money many times to do a real estate deal because it made massive amounts of sense not to miss the deal, because it was a great deal that put a lot of money in my pocket, even though I was paying 18% interest at one time. That was years ago, but at one time I was paying 18%.
And it is about the numbers. And you know what? For those of us that were around in the 70s and the 80s, prime was 13%. Well, not prime,
Jimmy
but
Carter.
the standard was 13%.
You know, the happiest man on the planet that Joe Biden is president is Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter's going, he makes me look so smart. I love this guy. So
Jimmy Carter was a smart man. He just was not a very good president. Thank you for joining us. Hey, Bill, welcome to the new Billionaires Club. We're going to do this together. Like I said,
thanks, man.
I'm doing this already. I'm
blast.
with my clients. So let's all do it together. The rest of you, if you're interested in doing it, contact us. We'll go ahead and get you on that same track. There's no reason why you can't go from zero to billionaire in literally 10 years or less. Those numbers I gave you, those gentlemen that I gave you at the beginning of the show, many of them made 7 billion, 13 billion plus just last year. And they were not even on the list prior to the year before that. So if you're interested, let us know. We'll see you guys back here on Thursday. Bill, I'll talk to you later. Bill, hang around actually, because my daughter wants to see.
You got it.
I'll talk to you.
All right, cool.